ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم يغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما ثم أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله سبحانه وتعالى وخير الهدى هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها فإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Alhamdulillah, we praise Allah, we seek His help, we seek His assistance, and we seek refuge from Allah from the evil within ourselves and from the bad consequences of evil deeds. So Allah, the Almighty, guides to Al-Islam, the Quran, and the Sunnah, and the following of our noble companions, their understanding and the practice of the Prophet Sunnah, and none can lead him astray except Allah Azza wa Jal does not protect them. Whomsoever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the Almighty, out of His knowledge, wisdom, and fairness, leaves to their own desires, leaves to different roads and different means of astrayness, that no matter how you call, no matter what you preach, no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to guide those individuals except by the permission of Allah. I bear witness that there is no deity, that there is no ilahun, no one that should be and has the right to be worshipped in truth other than Allah. He is alone without any partners. He is alone without any sons or daughters or parents. Laysa kamithlihi Shaikh or huwa as-sami'ul basir. Nothing is like Him, while He sees and He hears like He has created things to hear and see. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we bear witness that there is no other prophet and messenger to come after the last of them, which is Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu, the seal, the last of all the prophets and messengers. He is the servant of Allah, the messenger of Allah. He belongs to Allah, and he is from the servants of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and should not be worshipped. After this, rarely the most truthful speech is the book of Allah, and the speech of Allah in general, all of it in any time, any place is not created. And the finest guidance is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that is because it's from revelation. And whosoever follows newly invented ways, whosoever follows those things that are not from the religion, those things that are not from the religion, meaning they coincide not with the religion or they go against the religion, then that is astrayness, and every astrayness leads to the fire. And we ask Allah to protect us from astrayness and being in the fire. Ameen. This tonight is almost like part two. The khutbah was talking about the virtues of traveling. And we mentioned 4 different conditions that every people will find themselves in. And we also mentioned the virtues of those types of people that if they supplicate, if they ask Allah, He will answer. And then we also mentioned the fact that this question that I'm about to mention has been asked historically over and over again, and that is, how does an individual know if he has earned the pleasure of Allah or if Allah is pleased with that person? How does a person know if they are on the right track to gain the pleasure of Allah, or you could say that Allah is pleased with him. How do you know? And how does a person know if he has been forgiven by Allah? So in the khutbah, we mentioned that the scholars of Islam, all of them, when they talk about human beings, unanimously they say there are 4 different conditions that a person will find himself in. الناس قد يكون من 4 حالات. It said 4 situations. Doesn't make a difference who you are, what your status is in life, what family tree you come from, if you belong to a prestigious family, tribe, or so forth. Doesn't make a difference if you're rich, poor, what your language you speak, male or female. These are 4 that no one can escape. Somebody's going to be in one of these 4 categories. This is the first one, ni'am wal masa'ib. Ni'am or masa'ib. Either a person's going to be a ni'am. Ni'am, in language terms, it has a deep meaning. And we say it all the time. This is the ni'mah in Arabic. This is a ni'mah. But ni'am, this is general, plural. The scholars, they said ni'mah, they said huwa kathirun khayr wa nafa' wa barakah. They said ni'mah huwa kathir, yani khayr, nafa' wa barakah. They said the term ni'mah means something kathir. Kathir here means something that has abundance or lots. So it has a lot of khayr, goodness. Not just goodness, but it has a lot of goodness. Nafa'. Also, you continue, everything is going to come after the description of kathir, something that has a lot. So good is mentioned, but it's a lot of good. Nafa', benefit, advantages, but it's a lot of benefit, a lot of advantages in that thing. And barakah, it has a lot of blessings, meaning special things that you know only Allah can put in that thing for a certain people, not an average thing. So this, the first thing they said, a person will find himself in ni'am, meaning in a situation with things, with circumstances, with conditions around him or her or those people that are full of good, full of benefit, and full of blessings. That's the first thing. People will find themselves in that category. And then the second, they said, musa'ib. Musa'ib. You will find a person will be in situation, musa'ib. Musa'ib generally is talking about something that's not good. Something that's not advantageous. It's not, like the first thing, it has advantages. It's the opposite, disadvantages. The musa'ib will be something that you don't like. It's something distasteful. Some may describe it as a catastrophe, disaster, misfortune. I like this. So the person will find themselves in the first 2, either ni'am, full of much good, much benefit and blessing, or a person will find themselves in the musa'ib, a calamity, a disaster, a trial, things going bad, things not in his favor, things, being very difficult. That's number 2. Then it said number 3, ta'ah. A person finds himself ala ta'ah. He or she, they are in a circumstance of obedience. Meaning no matter what they face, no matter where they may be, no matter if it's good times, bad times, ease or difficulty, they're going to be doing what Allah has commanded them. They're not going to abandon the wajibats, those things that's a must, like the 5 salat, for example. No matter what, a person is going to pray his 5 salat, her 5 salat, with mind, soul, and body in that salat. No matter what, that person is going to try to be sadiq, truthful, which is a must in Islam. Min al-wajibat, min al-lazimat, to be a necessity, something that's compulsory to be truthful. That person is going to be obedient, leaving the prohibited things in good times, in bad times, and open and secret. That person will find him or herself, themselves in ta'ah, obedience. That's the third situation that people or conditions a person may find themselves in. And the last one, mu'asir, the opposite of obedience. A person will find himself up to the neck. If they do a ratio, wallahi, they will come very high in the percentage of what's wrong that they're doing, what's clearly disobedience, what's clearly wrong, what's clearly something that if Allah was to take them to task, they will have no excuse for the punishment. These are four things that the scholars of Islam, they mention that a person will find themselves in one of these four situations. Either in a blessed, plentiful, goodful, and beneficial, blessed state with blessed things. إما في ماذا المصائب, or they will be in a very trying, testing, difficult situation of turmoil and confusion, and that which is considered a bad situation, or that which we could say is disaster for them, misfortune. Or a person will be in ta'ah, obedience, delight of obeying Allah, delight in finding and aiming and going for what's right over what's wrong, being diligent in earning the pleasure and reward, seeking the face of Allah Ta'ala no matter what. And then the last one, mu'asir, they will find themselves steeped, not being able to break the shackles of disobedience and sin. Wallahu musta'an. So those are four things from the things we mentioned. The khutbah, which we're mentioning because it's going to be relevant as we talk about this topic of what was witnessed, what I witnessed in Africa or in Gambia. And then we also said the issue of the statement, the question which has been asked, how do I know? How can a person determine? How does a person come to the understanding if Allah is pleased with them or not? How can a person decide, understand, know if Allah is pleased with them, Allah is happy with them, Allah has favored them with His pleasure, and He has forgiven them? Now we mentioned in a brief, as we say, reply to that. Firstly, the person should be بين جانبين. بين طرفين or بين جانبين. Should be between two extremes. It should be not towards this one or not towards the other, but in the middle. It should not be a person always feeling that they are doomed, and only thing they have is Allah is going to punish them, Allah is going to punish them, Allah is going to punish them, which they're always leaning to the side that's described as fear, khawf. Because if a person does that, then they will despair. They will not feel any hope towards doing what's obedience, what's righteousness, doing good deeds, because they will say, I'm already doomed for hell, so why do anything? And this is a bad approach. Rather, it's a trick from the devil. And it should not be to decide that, okay, I did some good deeds, so I'm more than hopeful. I know Allah is going to accept for me, so I don't have to do any more work. I've already arrived. No, because you don't know what's acceptable or not. Just as no one knows that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will punish them or not. So the person's in the middle. If he does something that warrants punishment, he seeks Allah's forgiveness out of being fearful. And if the person is doing something of goodness, they don't stop or get big-headed or say, I'm good. No, they continue. Istimrar ala khayr. They keep doing the good deeds, the obedience. And this was the first thing we mentioned. Now the scholars, they mentioned that reality. Then the second thing they said, no one really knows what's accepted to begin with. So this is why it's important. This is the wisdom behind taking a middle path rather than to one side or the other. Then we mentioned that the ulama al-Islam, the scholars of Islam, also mentioned that if a person finds his or herself doing righteous deeds, know that this is only from the mercy of Allah, that Allah has showered His mercy upon you, that you are even able to be guided and recognize the guidance to do good deeds. And this was asked to the Prophet ﷺ, said, will people enter the paradise because of their good deeds alone? And the Prophet said, no one will enter the paradise based upon his good deeds alone. And they said, Wala anta ya Rasulullah, not even you. He said, Wala ana, not even me. He said, but rather, if a person is doing righteous deeds, then it's only that person will enter the paradise in the end, will enter the heaven in the end, out of the mercy of Allah, that Allah guided that person to do the righteous deeds is from the mercy of Allah. So all of it goes back to the generosity, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that point we mentioned because, again, it's from Allah's mercy that a person can, as we go back to those four stations or four stages or conditions, that a person would be in what's called, we say, ni'am. That person's in a very blissful state of enjoying much goodness, much beneficial things, and much things that have much blessing in it. That's from the mercy of Allah that you have that and can even reap that. Moreover, that you're able to acknowledge that state. And then the second one, calamity. And we said that if a person is from the third category that we mentioned, he or she is upon obedience no matter what. That second condition, that second category of calamity, you can turn that into something of a blessing or something of a advantage or something good by being patient and returning to Allah and increasing in supplication and putting yourself in a situation of increasing your humbleness and your seeking help from Allah during that time of adversity. And then the last thing we mentioned was the importance of traveling as it relates to what the Prophet ﷺ, some things he used to do, from amongst them, supplication. How we don't take supplication serious. We don't take it the way that it should be taken, because the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned three that Allah will not reject. There are three that Allah will not turn away empty-handed. There are three that if they raise their hands and supplicate, Allah is going to answer. From amongst the first of them, he said, Al-Musafir, Da'wa al-Musafirin, the one who's traveling. Traveling is such a challenge that when you call on Allah, just because of the seriousness of traveling, just because of the hardship of traveling, just because of the agony of traveling, Allah's messenger said, this is one of the people Allah is going to answer you. Because you're going to need some help when you travel. Something is going to compel you to have to ask for help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ used to make dua whenever he goes traveling. He will say, Allahumma inna naj'alaka binuhurihim wa a'udhu bika min shururihim. Now, said, and we put you, O Allah, in front of us, between us and whatever's in the road ahead. Because when you travel, the reality, you don't know what's coming. You don't know what's happening. How many times have you traveled and then you heard it's a bad accident ahead? You say, oh wow, subhanAllah. Or how many times you went to do something and that trip didn't happen, and then you heard something bad along the way took place. You said, wow, maybe Allah didn't allow me to travel because He wanted to protect me from that which was in the road.
So the Prophet would make that supplication because you don't know what's, in other words, you don't know what type of events or things that lie ahead, and you also don't know the evil of those people ahead. Also, Prophet Sallam, he mentioned in that other supplication that we began with, three people, their dua will not be, the supplication will not be rejected. After he mentioned the one who travels, he said the second one is the one who was oppressed, the one who has been treated with great injustice, down to Makhdoom. That dua will not be rejected. So as long as that person is not making shirk with Allah, calling on others with Allah, so long as that person from the hadith of the man who raised his hands, Yamuddu yadayhi ila sama, Ya Rab, Ya Rab, Ya Rab. But Allah said, how can I answer you when your food, your drink, your nutrition, your clothes is all haram? So as long as the person doesn't have those types of things between him and his dua, Allah will not reject the dua from amongst them, the one who is oppressed, and also the Prophet mentioned the da'wah al-wali walidihi, for the parent who makes dua for his child or his children. Those supplications will not be in vain. Allah will not reject them. But the first one, the point we're making, the one who's traveling. There are many other etiquettes, such as Salat al-Istikhara, before you travel. The Prophet would make, before you travel, as the hadith is general, إِذَا حَمَّ أَحَدُكُمْ Now, إِذَا حَمَّ أَحَدُكُمْ If any one of you decide to do something, from amongst the traveling is inclusive in that. The Prophet would make this special 2 raka'at and special wordings that are from Revelation, because again, you don't know if this is favorable or not, if it's good for your livelihood, your religious life, your everyday worldly affairs, your ending, and you're going down into the grave. You don't know. So the Prophet would do that. Also, the Prophet ﷺ, if he went up, up a hill, up a height, he would say, Allahu Akbar, because Allah is the greatest, to allow you to go up something steep. And then coming down, you will say Subhanallah, like this. But of course, you couldn't be on a plane today, and the plane takes off and goes up in the air, and you yell, Allahu Akbar. Subhanallah, with all of the, fear, and like they give these names and jargons, Islamic phobia and terrorism, no, you can't do that in a plane, You could say it to yourself, like this, or you even don't say it out loud, you say it to yourself, and some people have this idea, I'm saying it to myself, but for sure you wouldn't say, I'm practicing the sunnah, on the plane, look, you might get beat down, you know what I'm saying? People might jump on you, because they think you got some bomb about to blow up the plane, all of this stuff from the movies they made, many movies about terrorism and what happened, so people have these things in their head. The point is that these are from some of the etiquettes. These are from some of the practices of the Prophet when he would travel. That is when you go up a height or a hill to say Allahu Akbar, humbling yourself, acknowledging that Allah is greater even in this mountain, even in this, what you're going up. And when you come down, you say Subhanallah, because, this is from imperfection. What goes up must come down. Now, but of course, again, we're talking about using your common sense. You wouldn't do that today in 2021, 1443, on the Hijri calendar, with all of the fitna and mayhem that would come as a result of that. So just be careful. But the point is, you see like, wow, that's from travel. Then this is the point, to give you an idea. And there are many other things Prophet would do and say as it relates to travel, such as Masa'ala Kufay, Al Jarabay, Al Na'lay, Litalata, Ayyam, Walayalin. For 3 days and nights, you just wipe. So as long as you don't take off the footwear, when you make wudu, you just wipe. You don't have to wash the feet. That's for traveling. 3 days and 3 nights. Then you must remove them, wash, put them back on, clean feet, without something that has urine and feces on the bottom of it, meaning your footwear is free from anything of that sort. And then you have 3 more to start over, 3 days and 3 nights. acts. These are some of the important verdicts around traveling. And the Prophet also would make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal would make on the person's travel al-birr wa taqwa wa min al-'alimat Allah. Make it people who are traveling and that we have a trip that's full of birri wa taqwa, and make our actions those actions that or from the actions that Allah is pleased with. So all of this is inclusive in the issue of travel. When the Prophet ﷺ would travel and his companions, they would share with the other people the experience that they had from traveling. They would bring some benefit from what happened along the way of that trip. And we find many narrations that you wouldn't know, for example, what the inside of a church looks like, except that the companions described it to the Prophet when they went to Ethiopia. But the Prophet never stepped foot in the church. All those people that say the Prophet entered the church, well, the Prophet ﷺ copied from the Bible and wrote the Quran from the Bible, all of these are lies on the Prophet. Never entered the church, never wrote anything from a Bible, as he was from the people. He said, La nahnu umiyin, la naktu wa la nakra. We don't read, and we're not a people who read or write. Allah, and that doesn't mean all of the Arabs couldn't read or write. Some of them could, but in general, they didn't learn that skill. They didn't have that skill, which does not make them dumb, by the way. People think, wow, he's dumb, he can't read or write. No, many people are very brilliant, intelligent, but they never learned how to read and write. So this, the Prophet would share, the companions share from the trips that they had, because in those trips were a type of knowledge. As the Prophet said, "Laysa khabrun kal ma'ayin." Information is not like what you see. They said seeing is what? Y'all don't know that slogan?
Believing.
Huh? Or y'all sleeping? Seeing is what?
Believing.
Believing, okay. Say it then. You're afraid? And this is true. But the Prophet even said that. Seeing is not like what you hear. That's not to knock what you hear, because the Quran is something that you hear. It has narration to it, different chains mentioned, transmission, hadith, different chains of transmission. So as long as the person is trustworthy and accurate, then what you hear is good. But the Prophet is showing you there's nothing like what you see, because there's a whole set of experience and a whole level of education that comes with what you experience by what you see. Now, so for this reason, from the Sunnah of the Prophet, Sunnah of the companions, Sunnah of the people of ilm, they will talk about when they traveled and what they used to do on that trip, and some benefits and pros and cons. They will tell the story. Even Shaikh al-Muqbil rahimahullah ta'ala, Imam Muqbil bin Hadi al-Wadi'i, he was set to go to Great Britain. And the Shaykh had a problem with his liver from the parasite from bad water. Water was not that healthy, not that clean. The Shaykh drank it, didn't know, and the parasite ate away and ate away, kept the liver, right? Yeah, Ahmed.
Yes.
Kibda, had the liver, huh?
Kibda, yes.
So it ate away at the Sheikh's liver. So around this time when he was supposed to go to Great Britain for dawah, he couldn't go. So he sent one of his premier students, who was a young Shaykh and young alim at the time, Imam al-Hajuri. So when he came back in place of Shaykh Muqbil, the Shaykh summons him to get up in front of all of the other ulama, shuyukh, the masjid, and tell his story. So what happened, they turned it into a book. Yani, it's called Shaikh from Britania, something like this, what I witnessed in Great Britain. And when Sheikh Mukbil left Yemen to go to Yemen, Astaghfirullah. When Sheikh Mukbil left Yemen to go to Saudi Arabia in his last days to get treatment when he was very sick, close to dying, he himself did an interview and he named it the same thing, what I witnessed in Saudi Arabia. So this is a common thing when the people of knowledge travel, that they give some benefit. So this, inshallah, I'm going to give some benefit from the trip. You might spend the bunkers, mashallah. And so, inshallah, we'll try to go up until the time of Salah. What time is it now?
8:32.
Okay, please. And Salah, we pray about what, 9 o'clock?
9:20, I think.
9:20?
I think you're praying 9:20.
Oh, really? And the Isha is about what, 8:49 or something like that?
Yeah, it's in Isha 8:47 and a half.
Or 7, okay. I'm not going to try to talk that long anyway. Try to wrap it up by 9, then we could have some off the record talk or whatever. Anyway, I could have I'm going to just mention some benefits, some of it's definitely people going to slam it because, people have their own, as they say, beauties in the eye of the beholder. Meaning, everybody has his own or her own idea of what's beautiful. And also, there's a dignity involved, so you might find people from a particular place, they might not talk bad about their place because it's their place, but they will admit, if they have to, certain circumstances, some types of truth about their place. And inshallah ta'ala, ask Allah to guide my heart and tongue, but it's meant to be a lesson, inshallah ta'ala. I went to two main places, Morocco in transit, Maghreb they call it, which is considered North Africa, right? Mm-hmm. And we were there for 15 hours, coming from JFK, going to Gambia. And Gambia is in West Africa, basically in the middle of Senegal, closer to the Atlantic Ocean. And so the first part of the trip, mashallah, it was a good trip from here to Casablanca. It was not that long, maybe like a 7-hour trip, something around there, from JFK straight into Maghreb. And the layover, Zahamallah khairan, Naam, Allah bless them, Royal Morocco and the King and all of those people that made that happen. But they did because they're responsible for the layover. They put you in a hotel just for layover, so you don't have to come out of pocket. And they feed you, and the food is not trash. It's not like the New Yorkers say garbage. Nah, by no means. The food was top notch. Gourmet, like subhanallah. Moroccans, they did their thing. Allah bless them. And although we didn't go out into the city, just leaving the airport, catching the shuttle, going to the hotel, very clean, from what my wife described, no trash. The electric didn't go off, like in some countries, electric goes off a couple of times a day, sometimes in the night, none of that. Food very clean, didn't get sick, lots of nice fruits, vegetables, couscous, lamb, different type of desserts. And then we went, when you go around and you, like they call you in Saudi, they call you Mutawwa. You're a voluntarily religious man, they call you Mutawwa. So when you go around, you look like somebody of knowledge. You fake it a little bit like myself. they understand still some places in the world respect him, that's the Shaikh. Then they figure out he's blind. And he has his wife, his queen, Shaikh. So right away they wouldn't let us do nothing. They brought everything to us to know. That's your Shaikh. And then we got you. Man, they brought so much food, it was amazing. We ate so much at lunch, we didn't even go back for dinner. That's how it was. So that was Morocco. And then
how long you stayed there?
we'll stay there 12 hours. We got there on left here, we got there Friday morning, like 9 o'clock. And we stayed until about 8 o'clock that night, 8:30, 9 o'clock, back in the airport and getting ready to go 2 more hours to the Gambia. So that 2-hour trip, we got on Air Morocco, the food was different. Going to Gambia, the service was different. Same airline, same people, meaning they are, from the same region, but the service was different. The food was different, not as tasty. The service was different. Some people got sick and flew up. By the time we boarded the plane, they had like blankets laid with like you would put a rug. So we walked and we don't know right away what it is. And then you can see some of it, I guess, the way, wife said, oh man, somebody threw up. So apparently it wasn't fully covered. So they just put like blankets and said, that would never happen in America. They would hold that plane up, clean it, sanitize it. You're talking about COVID, sickness, flu, this, that. On top of somebody like me, I'm blind. I step in and slip, fall. You're talking about hurt, maybe lawsuit. As they say, mush ma'kul. It doesn't make sense. But that was the turning point. We realized things are different now. And perhaps because where we're going to West Africa. And some parts of the story we'll see like, unfortunately, has to be a mentality. So we'll get to the Gambia. And alhamdulillah, it was different from the stop in Morocco because now the airport was smaller, no AC, very hot. By this time, we're tired, been traveling since Thursday. Now it's Friday night. Actually, it's Saturday morning, Friday night, 1 o'clock in the morning. So, they make us pay, but we had a visa from here, $250 5-year visa to the Gambia, but they make you pay in the airport again. Not Jews, haram. But, you want to go in, you're tired, why we got to pay, you argue, whatever, we just pay, just let me go, let me get my bags. So alhamdulillah, we're in the country and we were living in the village.
So which airport did you pay?
They pay in the airport, Banjo International Airport. They make you pay. While you already have a visa, you don't pay anything when you pay already. You have a visa, but this what you say for diha and a scandal. They call it also the corruption. This Allah Mustaq everywhere in America in some way, in Africa in some way, in Europe. I mean, what are you going to do? So we realized that. So, okay, this is about money. And again, the whole thing about going to travel to see the Muslim, and everybody can associate and identify with people that look like them. So, okay, I'm considered what they will say brown, black, whatever. You figure like you're going to your people, but on top of that, they're Muslim. But this is the first introduction. Stick up without a gun. Give me that money. Make you pay. And you already paid. Stuck for the law. So now we get to the house, and we're living in the village. So in the village, we will say it's safe. Nobody is going to shoot you, rob you. You don't have to carry pistols like here, lock your doors. All you hear is you get the rooster. You find the cows walking in the street. You're driving, the people stop you blowing. I can't see, so I'm thinking they're blowing.
Which country is this?
Huh?
Which country?
This is Gambia. Yes, in the West Africa, next to Senegal. Yes. So alhamdulillah, that was a good experience to be in the village in that regard because you experience something different. but the roads, wallahi, was very, very, it was what you call disappointing because, you know, going from the city, you have a paved road, and not many paved roads in the country at all. But most of the roads, you know, are not just off side roads, but they have like a lot of big holes in the ground, so when it rains, they flood, and you know, actually, like you gotta go through the water 2, 3, 4, 5 miles per hour because you will mess up the bottom of your car if you go fast. You can't go fast. And when it rains, you're going through like little small lakes, and you know, this is the infrastructure. So it also shows that the government, like in most cases, they're responsible because the government has money, they get money. The president, no matter where he lives in a good place, he's not starving, has nice cars, security. Why are the roads like this? And you have people that have money in that country. You see nice cars. It's reported to me. You know, my family tell me, wow, look, that's a nice car there. That's this. That's a Benz. That's a Beamer. That's a Cadillac Escalade. That's a Hummer. So some people have money even in the poor country. But the roads are like this. So that was something that we realized is a big problem because how can we expect the rest of the world to expect them to respect us if we don't respect ourselves? We're Muslim. It's our country. You have the adhan going, you know, 5 times a day and, you know, have a dignity about ourselves, but look at the roads. We're almost there. And you have trash, and, you know, every place have trash. Even outside, maybe you find trash. But you're not going to find trash that brings smell and rodents and this, just everywhere. No, there's a sense of order and cleanliness. This should be number one priority in a Muslim country. Because from our religion is the issue of cleanliness, tahara, you know, nice smells. The angels, they love nice smells. And the opposite, the bad smells and odors, who likes it? The devils, the jinn, the shayateen, the evil people, you know. So this was another thing, you know, and wallahi, for somebody who lived in Yemen, in Egypt before, people say, oh man, you were in Yemen, oh man, you were in Dammaj. Okay, shut your mouth, you have no idea. This was the worst I ever seen in the country, in Gambia. Wallahi, it made me cry. When I talk about it, like, subhanAllah, how could this be? You know, how? Wallahi.
Is Gambia 100% Muslims?
That doesn't make a difference, but to answer your question, you might as well say 95%. But what good is that, Islam? If we have a trash and the roads are bad, you know, and you know, again, I was in Yemen. Yemen was poor, but you didn't smell people stinking. Just being straight. And people have, rihan, or juma, smell good, oud, musk, this, that, soap, sabun, deodorant, nadif, mashallah. ما في ريح في المساجد and that, ولا شيء. So you can't say, well, they poor, they don't know. The deodorant is everywhere. Now, deodorant everywhere, sabun everywhere. Have running water, have rags. Why? You have smells and stink and body odor and trash. So this is very disheartening. While on the other hand, you have people very nice. Akhlaq, mashallah. For the most part. For the most part. You never seen people like this. Just so nice, easygoing, you know, respectful. If they see you are religious, mashallah. And you have the people like, some people poor, asking, but for the most part, people left you alone. You leave them alone, they leave you alone. You interact, they interact, but they were nice people in general. One said to me, most of the people there, whether they're Sufi and this and that, no. Most of the people in the Gambia, they are people Sunnah. The opposite is Senegal, where they have this ritual and this sheikh, and they make a tawaf around the grave, and they make dua to the sheikh, and then he take it, to Allah, no. And the Gambia, the opposite.
So
Which again, this is a...
Do you have a chance to go to Senegal as well?
No, we're only talking about Gambia. Yeah, but I know because I'm there in the Gambia, and I said with you, I asked them, they know they go to the synagogue, they have relatives in the synagogue, some travel because they are there, the Mandinka people, they have family in the synagogue like this. So, this known, Ma'ruf is known. And this is not my first time experience about people from synagogue, so we know. But the point is that misinformation, because people will see right away, oh, most of them Sufi, and no, you don't know, you have to be quiet. Most of the people in the Gambia, يحب السنة ويحب التوحيد ويحب القرآن والسنة ما شاء الله وعندهم أخلاق طيبة ما شاء الله, good character, this that. But again, when we talk about poverty, sometimes the brothers here they blame, so why they come from a Muslim country to a non-Muslim country. The Muslim's supposed to انتقل من بلاد المسلمين من بلاد الكافرين لبلاد الإسلامية or بلاد المسلمين. That's a whole other discussion. What's a Muslim country or Islamic country? But face value, they blame people. I think if you went and see the level of poverty and the level of disorganization, the level of, we'll say just like, hardship, the level of everything that will make life difficult, I think you wouldn't say nothing about a person trying to leave, coming to another place. Wallah, you wouldn't. So that's another thing that we understand, like, subhanAllah, we have to be grateful for what we have here. Wallah. And your money, they say, go a long way. That's true, but not true. It depends on what you're doing with your money. Like us, we couldn't, to be honest with you, like, just eat rice. Like, a lot of them just eat rice. Sometimes they eat, a little bit, vegetable, maybe, some chicken or something, but a lot of them, they eat rice. We can't eat that coming from America. Our diet is not like that. Even growing up, we didn't eat a lot of rice before we became Muslim. We eat other things, eat rice sometimes with pork chop or rice with liver, because we were not Muslim. But we didn't eat rice like people eat rice in Ramadan and from the other countries. So for us, if we eat too much rice, Allah will be mushkila. But there you find the rice have a blessing in it. You eat it and you go to the bathroom easy. Here you eat the rice, and make you constipated. So they have a blessing in their food, Allah. But at the same time, the food will go bad quick because it doesn't have the same preservatives that we have in our food. So it will go bad. If you make it and you sit it out 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, halas, you can't eat that food, you may get sick. The next day for sure, you're going to have in the refrigerator just sitting out, halas, you can't eat that. The same thing we talk about how food is prepared, stored. There are regulations, and sometimes the people say, oh, that's a Western culture thing, or they bring in their ways from the West. No, everything here in the West is not blameworthy. They don't know that most of the Constitution, most of the civil liberties in this country, Thomas Jefferson drafted it from the Quran. It's in the Library of Congress. This is documented information. So I would have like paved roads, and this came from Umar al-Khattab during his time to make the roads clean, no bumps, no rocks, because if someone gets hurt on the road, guess what? The administration, the people run that land, they're responsible. So Umar will make the land, the road smooth, remove rocks, this, that. This is where this concept, paving the road, making the road nice, smooth, this comes from Islam. It's not from the West, what people think. You understand me? Nah. So when we talk about seeing this type of thing, we have to say Alhamdulillah, and we should understand our money goes a long way. Like I said, for us again, we have to buy certain foods in the can because we kept getting sick. So for us, it's better to just buy food in the can, sardines, tuna, like this, because when you have like the fish in the sun, it's now on the ice. That fish is going to make you sick. You know, and me, I remember in Yemen, I had typhoid from flies. So imagine you got 50 flies, you do like this, 75 come, you do like this, 40 flies in the heat. That fish, you going to take a chance with that? Who's going to eat that fish? Raise your hand. Nobody will hungry, huh?
Say the question again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and you have fish, you know fish samak.
Yes.
إذا جلس في شمس وعليه ذباب كثير ما في ثلج ولا شيء يعني ساعات في يعني حرارة الشمس هذا طيب ليس
لا ليس طيبا. ليس طيبا at all.
نعم بارك الله فيك.
However,
صح.
people in, I'm sorry for interrupting the Greek.
No problem, it's not interruption.
People in South Egypt, they used to bury fish in the sand. But they like wrap it and put a lot of salt around it, so they preserve it for.
Yeah, هذا شيء آخر. أنا أعرف هذا
They get
النظام.
something similar to like the Russian thing, the caviar kind
Yes,
of thing.
yes.
So this is how they do it.
نعم أنا أعرف هذا من اليمن. هذا شيء
اليمن نعم.
هذا شيء آخر. وهذا يعود إلى يعني تشريق في يوم الأضحية تشريق. You dry the meat out. You preserve it with the salt. If you were to do that, it's in the sun, it's going to dry out all of the minerals and the food will be good. When you get ready to cook it, you just wash all that salt off, you wash the meat good, and then you make it the meat and it's fresh because the salt preserves it.
You know that kind of
But in this case, we're not talking about that. They just have the meat in the sun on the table, flies, and subhanAllah. Even you smell the smell, I think. When you ride past, make your stomach hurt. Very seldom you find the meat just come from the water, you get it, you put it in something, you shield it from the sun, you take it home, you can cook it, wash it real good with some lemon. But most of the time, when we see the fish, it's just sitting outside.
There's no control.
Yeah. You see, so what's my point? To bad about? No. To show you the benefit, yani, what you see when you travel. Allah said, وَسِيبُوا فِي الْأَرْضِ فَانْظُرُوا كَيْفَ كَانَ عَاقِبَةُ الَّذِينَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Look, travel through the earth, see how those who came before you, yani, how they live. Some were punished, some were not punished. So there's a lesson when you travel. For us, we waste too much food in America. For us, we don't give enough money. We're stingy. For us, we take it for granted, the things we have, that we can make the life easy. For us, we complain, or we have better situation than most. So these stories will make us say, Astaghfirullah. These stories will make us say, Alhamdulillah. The life we have, كَنَّنَا فِي النَّعِيمِ, like when يعني bliss, wallah. على سبيل المثال, when you compare the two, كالليل والنهار, كالشمس والقمر. It's like the night and the day and the sun and the moon. You know, but we don't see that because we don't travel, or we're too busy working, taking care of our families for life. So Allah bless this to happen so I can come back and share with you like you on the trip. Because some stuff will lie when you talk to people, they don't tell you what we experience. When you look at YouTube, it's it's so beautiful. Yeah, it is. But what about this stuff? Nobody talk about this. Nobody talk about this. Wallah. So it's you know, and for us again, I'm gonna say it and be straight about it. If it was South Africa, where the Africans are lighter, wallah, you see better roads, you see more nidam, more you know, rules and regulations, things in place. But wallah, the darker you are, the more the people don't give a damn. That's racism. And you have a self-hatred. Because you yourself in your own country become used to that, you will never change. And you find most of the people in the country, the auto part industry, the supermarket, wallah, they're people from outside. They're not the locals, the Gambians who have this. They're people from outside coming taking the money. Like the British, they did them. Just took everything and left them with nothing. 400 years of rule. And the Portuguese was there before them. And the Moroccans was there before them. They went through hell in this country. the Gambia. Allah. Now look, when you go there, this is what you see. So for us, Allah, we have a commitment to do what we can do here for ourselves to make our environment better. Like Imam Anwar said, Allah, this for us, we in a serious struggle, but Allah wrote that for us because this is our country. This is where we live. And we can make a difference if we do the work. But likewise, Allah, there's accountability for back in that country. Because if you take 1 million Muslims, give $1, that's $1 million. You know what kind of roads and good drinking water and cleaning up the place could be done with $1 million? Look what they just spent in Afghanistan, 20 years. Look, $1 million, what do you think can do in that country? When people go to say, mashallah, even if they don't fix the corruption, at least the roads are nice. People have good drinking water. Wallahi, I went to the Masjid al-Tawwab. Now, Tabarak wa ta'ala bless Ibrahim, our brother here from Gambia. Because, wallahi, not to break his back, he's not going to like what I'm saying, but so much he do for back home. And he don't have to do it. He could say my country, but I have obligation to my family. I have so many cousins, nieces, sisters, aunt, this, but the people and the place not even related to him. Wallahi, he helped them have a well for drinking water. Imagine having no water to drink. You make a well for them to drink water, clean water. You got the buha, the thing that the tower that's better than the well because it supply the whole town with water. Costs $1,500 for good, clean drinking water. We went to the Masjid Tawab. They used to have to walk so far, the Imam said, maybe like an hour and a half for Jummah. Then, mashallah, they got, Allah blessed them to get masjid in that village. In the village, wallahi, miskeen village, poor. But they're so grateful. Even I give a talk there, I said, wallahi, in America, sometimes the masajid is empty. Nobody's going to walk in the sun at Asr time because the Shaikh came from America. The masjid, the people that came from Allah. Just to meet you, say salam, keep halik. Even they don't know your language, they want to tell you, and then somebody tell you and translate. SubhanAllah. The visitors come here. When no visitors come, the visitor be the only one in the masjid. Allah. Nobody say, here's some money for you to eat, where you staying, this, that. No type of hospitality for the guests. There, Allah, people, they just want to come from 1 hour to say salam and leave. That's it. Make you feel like you're somebody. Just because they heard you came from America, you imam, or you visitor, or your wife came with you, or this, that. Whatever good news, they want to just come see you. The relative call and say, so-and-so, he's there, is a visitor, go see him. They don't say, oh, I'm busy, oh, I'm poor, oh, it's too far, oh, the roads. No, they go. Early in the morning, they're at the door, just to say hi, salam, keep halik, sit with you, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, it's okay, we got to go. Allah bless you, salam alaikum. Amazing. But wallahi, we'll have so much in America and we don't take it like that. You know. So this wallahi is a chance for everybody to look how we can improve because wallahi, Allah bless us, we have so much, man. And sometimes we might feel we don't have, but we have a lot. Even this masjid, wallahi, people say the masjid in the ghetto is dangerous. We need a new building. They're building falling apart. But guess what? I was in some masajid, when you stand, your feet hurt. Because the ground is marble. What they consider rug may be thinner than this little jalabi I have on. There ain't no cushion and pad. You sit in comfort, lah. You hurting sitting in Joseph. Saying when the imam going to mix it up, because your ankles hurt on that marble. Yeah, real talk. You sit in the masjid, and it's not no, we got to go back to work. The masjid, going to tell you khutbah, 15 minutes the first half, 15 the other half out the door. No, khutbah 45 minutes, an hour, they blow. We sit on that marble, man. Your duke saying, ooh, yeah, Allah. Hurt. Yeah, man. So we take for granted the carpet, the old carpet, the carpet before that. We don't know how much Allah He blessed us, He favored us. They'll have to show Allah Azza wa Jal by doing more. You know, wallah. Even we send some money, we'll give to Ibrahim. Ibrahim trustworthy. Tell him this for doing some roads there. Wallah, it's going to get done. His cousin there, Elijah, Haji, wallah, took good care of us. Good care of us, wallah. Most of the time, he just looked us, making sure we need anything he there. You know, because you're in the country where the people, they speak English as one of their main language in the Gambia, but the people, they speak their own native African language. So you still need somebody there to talk, which is another lesson. How you can be in a country where you understand what's happening. A big network. But sometimes you find this brother don't want to talk to this brother. This sister won't talk. We should be using our skills. Imagine you somewhere and you can't talk. And the only time they're going to talk back to you in English when they're forced to say something to you because, you know, they understand that you just don't understand, so they tell you in English, but then they switch back to their language. Very frustrating. Very frustrating. COVID-19. What time is Yusuf?
9:03.
I'm going to stop at 9:10. COVID. They said no COVID in the Gambia. Wallah, this is what they said. Allahu Alam. It could be, listen, when we say Wallah ala kulli shay'in qadir, this is inclusive. It's easy for Allah to make no COVID or bare minimum in a place and it skyrocket to the heavens in another place. That's easy for Allah. Then you'll hear about the story in Surah Al-Baqarah. In Surah Al-Kahf, some people, they in the cave, I need 100 years. Surah Al-Kahf, 309. That's easy for Allah to do this. It's not limited. Allah says, Mafish Kofi Gambia. But they still tell you, put your mask on sometime, you know, but the people weren't wearing no mask. But you do find like people sick, dying, falling all over the place. Allah. So, Allah Azza wa Jalla put the blessing where He wants. And sometimes He tests in one area and He bless you in another area. And that's what we learn from this trip. Allah. A lot of things that you could say, MashaAllah, you know, experience, learn, you know, for me. I'm not going to tell somebody, go see for yourself. That's up to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to tell you that, but, you know what you got. You know, understand what Allah bless you with being in America and being American citizen. Wallah. And most of the people, even they have a dignity for their country. Even though they're not going to talk bad about their country. They'll tell you the truth in a discreet way. But if they had a chance to get in your pocket and get on the plane, where are going to be? They're going to be in your pocket. Just like that. Allah too. Because the conditions is bad. Very bad. We talk about living conditions, you know. But alhamdulillah, Allah just give them iman, you know, whether they are used to it or they tolerate it, whatever. You know, they're there, they're our brothers, they're our sisters. So I told them, you know, those who I knew from the people that received us and looked after us, that I will make sure when I come home I talk about this, and maybe we make some organization, you know, non-profit, to do some things here and to do things, you know, there. I don't know how we will do it. We'll have to sit down and see, but definitely the roads and, you know, the issue of cleaning up the garbage and water, these are the main three things I see in the country. Because if you're sickly, man, if you have that which is not clean, you have bad roads, you know, your car is always broke and flooding and subhanAllah, this is rough. Allah. So that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wa fatala bi ni'amihi. We ask Allah to bless us and to give us His blessing. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make it easy for all of the Muslims and their trials and tribulations, wherever they may be. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us grateful for that which He has given us, or to make us from those who show the gratitude to Him and the gratitude to others. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala not to take away His blessing, but surely Allah, He snatches away the blessing from whom He wants to snatch it away from. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in Iman, what we heard, to enrich us and vigor to do more. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive us for our shortcomings, forgive them for the shortcomings, and make us die the death of the righteous. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وسلم تسليما كثيرا والحمد لله رب العالمين. جزاكم الله خيرا. I appreciate everybody who came to listen to my big mouth, but I think it was important to share some of this with the people because of misconceptions and what the people withhold. And 3 things: I won't be traveling back there. I learned my lesson to stay put. 2, listen to your wife, because my wife told me from Jump Street, don't go, I'm not going. And number 3, alhamdulillah, I'm glad to be back home with the people that I know and love, and they love me and I love them. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Just curious, how did you decide on going to Gambia? And was this your first trip to sub-Saharan Africa, or?
Barakallah khair.
And plus,
Alhamdulillah.
from your description, it seems to me like you're more in the village than in any city.
Bismillah, salatu salam ala rasulullah mabak. I'm going to answer backwards. No, we live in the village, or we travel. We'll give you some cities. We went to Busabi. That's the next town over, city. Went to some Gambia. That's the big city where a lot of Americans and Brits live. We also went to Fajr, big city. We went to also Banjo. We went to Sana, which is on the beach side. Went to another place, I forget the name. Went to several places. And my description, of course, from a perspective of being blind, but you guys quote this all the time. لا تعمل الأبصار ولكن تعمل قلوب الذي في الصدور. You guys quote this all the time. You're not blind, you see with your heart. You're not blind, you see with your heart. Quote it with the eye. So it's an insight. You can't take your heart and look and say, oh, the vegetable is 29 cents. No, it's an insight, But I had my wife with me, and to be honest with you, she wasn't going to go. But at the last minute she went because she wasn't going to let me go foolishly by myself. Person was going to go with me, decided not to go, so she went. So she's my eyes. And we went, to a lot of places, and this is what we observed in most of the places we went. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the best knower. As for why, for me, I always want to go to Africa, and with increasing shootings, killing of George Floyd, I'm blind, so it's a little bit different for me now. I used to be against me. I used to carry pistols. I might start back carrying, get my bulletproof vests or what, because it get kind of crazy around here. Murders going up, homicides, it's getting bad. So we always have an idea. Let's see if it's another place. If we have to get out of here, we can go to. Many of you guys, if you have to go somewhere, guess what? You can go home. Many of you have villas and this and that and family. We don't have that. This is our home. They cut us from our forefathers, their language, their religion, so this is what we got, alhamdulillah. But some of us will have in our mind, let's see if it's a place in case we have to go, we can go too. So that was the idea to go to Gambia, and really someone told me it's a nice place, it's beautiful. I did research for about a year and a half. Some other people said this, that, and the third, but I don't know. My experience is not what they said, and so Allah Azza wa Jalla make it easy. I hope that answered your question. And yes, that was my first time and was considered.
Just a follow-up. Maybe you're sorry, but it sounds to me like you had extreme negative experience in your trip. But I'm from Africa myself.
That's okay.
I'm from the east of Africa. I've never been to West Africa. I've never been to Gambia.
So let's be fair.
Yes.
Let's be fair. Then don't talk about West Africa. Talk about East Africa.
So
I didn't talk about East Africa. I never been there.
So Somalia has its own problems. Somalia and
yeah, we know that. But I said West Africa where I went.
Yeah.
So don't say that's extreme.
No, I know. I'm just curious. Since you said you're not going back. Does that include all of Africa?
No. To that part of Africa, as I went, and then in general. Because for me, you want to talk about where you're from, but you live in America. If it's so gravy, why you here? You see what I'm saying? So let's be realistic. We don't have to trash where we come from and our people, but we have to have a little bit of what's called civic. We have to be truthful. And that's probably why we can't get to the bottom of how to solve some of these problems in corruption, because we have the blinders on. We're too worried about saying, I'm from Africa, my pride. No, let's talk, let's say what it is. Like we say about here, we don't have no gripes about telling them how bad it is in America. And they look like, what? Yeah, y'all lived through that? Yeah. And the shootings and rapes and homosexuality and all type of, sexual perversions. You can worship what you want and people kill people like you step on bugs. But this is our country. We have to be truthful. By the same token, guess what? You can bear arms and protect yourself. And a lot of countries you can't. If they run down on you, you just ran down on them. If the government decide to have their way with you, you can't defend yourself. When we can defend ourselves here, that's a getma. That's a getma. So hey, many of those places, you have to do just what they tell you. And you have to worship like this. No, in America, you have the choice. Many people in those countries, wallahi, jahil, one imam in the village, stuck for him. I wanted to choke him every time I went to the masjid to pray. Wallahi, the Al-Fatiha, when he said, well, Dali, you know it's Al-Fatiha in the beginning. That's the only part you know about Al-Fatiha when you listen. Everything else, you try to figure out, what the hell is he reading? I'm telling you, he's imam. Jahil. And this said the tribe don't care if you have knowledge or not. They pick who they want, and that's it. That was the case. But guess what? More people in America learned Islam, and more people in America came and started practicing Islam than in their countries before. We hear so many stories. So, Allah, we tell the good and the bad. We're not going to be worried about who's going to blame us. So don't get offended. You're from Africa. I only said West Africa, Gambia, and say nothing about East Africa. I got some homies right now in Ethiopia. You want me to call them and get description and then come back and talk about East Africa? We can do that. But we're not doing that. We're telling the experience so people can benefit, because there's a lot of misinformation about going to Africa, period. Moreover, where I went. A lot of misinformation. You see what I'm saying? Some of the houses was real nice now. People had money. Laid out. But guess what? They have money. So that means you got to have money coming in. You can't go with a couple of $500, $800. You live like a king. Live like a king with $800? I didn't believe it when I left here, but I had to see it. You are not going to live like a king with $800. You're just not. But people got big money coming in, yeah, they live large. They live large, so, that's that. Anybody else? Anybody else? Amen. Nothing. Anything?
You said a lot of things, so I think the last 3 points that you made was in those. I was going to ask the question that you answered. I was going to ask something related to that, but you answered it.
One of the main things we see is the division. Unfortunately, like you mentioned Somalia and East Africa. Well, I think we know right now, Somaliland wants this and that, and they can't get their independence. Why? Because Somalia won't let them free. I think the division is killing us. Then you have in this country, the Gambians want to do something, but they can't because the Senegalese won't allow them, and they want to give them their full independence in disregard because it's tied to money. I think that the selfishness and the division is what's killing us. The corruption, the leaders. Well, why? The leaders, from Saudi perspective, and you have some meth that say don't talk against the leader. I think, but the leaders, when are they going to be held accountable? The prophet talked bad about the leaders. He called them ulama asu, leaders who are straight, evil scholars. That's not to say all leaders and all scholars, but there's some like that. When are they going to be held accountable? They can just do what they want. You see, so the division, the selfishness, that's what's killing Africa. And the fact that the white man really, he took all the resources, man, for himself. It took all of it. And even now, the African countries, they're still in debt to these people. They still signing checks right now today. They're not finished. And then when they try to take their own, natural resources, they say, we don't have the ability to do it, so we need a company to come in and do it. What company is that? The same white man. So we're going to say, I'm going to get your oil, I'm going to pull it out the ground, I'm going to get your natural gas, but we're going to give you 30% and we take 70%. You guys to be kidding me. Are you serious? So I said, no, man, we're not going to let you pimp us again like that. We'll just stay poor before we crack that deal. So, but at the same time, why not send some of your best youth to go learn that trade in America, in Germany, in Great Britain, come back and get your own oil off the ground? What we waiting on? The Saudis did it. All them companies now that was ran by the non-Muslim and the white man, nope, not no more. The Saudis got that expertise, they can do it. But now the oil is so high and they ain't making no money, they're forced to do other things. They waited too late. Now everybody else got the oil as well, so it's like, man, but, we got to look at, how we need to do our own countries and, how we need to do ourselves, So, Allah make it easy. It's not just the white man, it's us, it's racism, it's, sins, disobedience, it's not thinking straight, it's being comfortable with how we are. It's a whole bunch of, long-term problems. May Allah Azza wa Jalla help us. Amen. هذا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك. جزاكم الله خير. Don't forget the program tomorrow, huh? Imam, what time again?
Got you on 11 to 4.
11 to 4.
Yeah, Mansion Street Park.
Mansion Street Park.